Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
One introduction. Many people around the world think of Australia as a wonderful place. They see pictures of sunny beaches and happy people. It is often called a land of opportunity. It seems like a perfect place to live with a great lifestyle. This is the common image that many people have. However, for some people, this picture is not completely true. Living in Australia can be very difficult. It can be expensive, lonely, and sometimes even dangerous. This is a different view from the sunny image. It is important to understand that things can be different for different people. The idea of a perfect life in Australia is not the reality for everyone today. This is not just a list of negative points. This is about looking at a complex situation. This chapter and others will explore why living in Australia is becoming hard for more and more people. We will look at the challenges that make life here difficult for a number of reasons. We want to understand the problems that many people face now. The common dream in Australia was often about having a good life and owning a house. For a long time, this dream was possible for many people. Australia was known as a country where it was relatively easy to buy a home. House prices were lower compared to how much people earned. The government also had programs to help people buy houses. This helped many families. Owning a house became a very important part of what it meant to be Australian. It was a sign of success and a way to feel secure. This was the situation in the past, maybe 50 or 60 years ago. It was a time when the idea of the great Australian dream became popular. Owning a house with a garden was a normal goal that many could reach. But things have changed a lot. Today, the situation is very different. The dream of owning a house is not easy to achieve anymore. For a growing number of people, it is very difficult or even impossible to buy a home. This is a big problem in Australia now. This book will look at the reasons why this has happened. We will explore the challenges that make living in Australia less easy than it was in the past, and less easy than the common image shows. We will look at different parts of this complex problem. 2. A good place to live. In the 1950s and 60s, Australia was seen as a very good place to live. Life was good for many people. The economy was strong and growing. At this time, an idea became very popular. People called it the Great Australian Dream. The Great Australian Dream was about owning your own house. It was often a house in the suburbs outside the main city. This house usually had a garden. Many families also wanted to own a car. This dream was not just a wish. It was something that many people could really do. Owning a house with a garden became a common goal. It was seen as a sign of a good and successful life. The government at that time helped people to buy homes. They had special rules and help, like giving money to people buying their first house. These things made it easier for many families to buy a place to live. Because of this help and the good economy, more and more people became homeowners. In 1950, about 52% of people owned their home. By 1968, this number was much higher, about 71%. This was a very high number compared to other countries. Owning a home became a very important part of life in Australia. It was not just about having a roof over your head. It was a key part of what it meant to be Australian. This idea, the Great Australian Dream, was strongly connected to owning your own home and having a good life. 3. Houses are very expensive. Today, the situation is very different. Houses in Australia cost a lot of money. The prices for houses have gone up very, very fast in recent years. People's pay has not gone up as fast as house prices. This means it is much harder for people to buy a house now than it was before. In Australia's biggest cities like Sydney and Melbourne, houses are extremely expensive. These cities are now some of the most expensive places in the world to buy a home. To buy a house in these cities, a person needs many years of their salary. It can cost 10 times a person's yearly income or even more. This is a very large amount of money. Because buying a house is so difficult and costly, many people cannot do it. They need a place to live, so they look for a house or an apartment to rent. But the market for renting is also very difficult now. Many people are looking for rental homes. When a house or apartment is available to rent, a lot of people want it. You often see long lines of people waiting to look at a rental property. This strong demand makes renting very competitive. It is hard to find a place to live, and it is hard to get a place when you find one you like. On top of this, the price of rent is also going up quickly. People are paying more and more money each week just to rent a home. Paying high rent makes it very difficult to save money. Saving money is important if a person wants to buy a house in the future. You need to save a large amount of money for a deposit on a house. But if most of your money goes to rent, you have little left to save. This means that for many people, the idea of saving enough money to buy a house is almost impossible. The dream of owning your own house, which was common for many Australians in the past, is now out of reach for a growing number of people. They see house prices that are too high and rents that take a big part of their income. This makes it hard to plan for the future or feel secure in their home. The cost of housing has become a major challenge for many people living in Australia today. This problem affects many families and individuals. It is not easy to find an affordable place to live, whether you want to buy or rent. The difficult housing market means that life is harder for people who are just starting out, for young families, and for people on lower incomes. The high cost of homes is a big change from how things were in the past and is a serious issue for many Australians. 4. Many people want to buy. Many people want to buy houses in Australia today. This strong desire to buy is a main reason why houses cost so much money. The number of people wanting to buy is very high. Why do so many people want to buy? There are several reasons for this high demand. One important reason is how the government's ideas about houses changed over time. Many years ago, owning a home was seen as a basic part of life for families. But starting in the 1980s, there was a change. The government began to encourage people to see houses not just as a place to live, but as a way to make money. This means seeing a house as an investment. This change in thinking led to new rules and policies. These policies made it easier and more attractive for people to buy a second house, or even more houses. People bought these extra houses not to live in, but to rent out to others. When more people buy houses as investments, it adds many more buyers to the market. This extra number of people wanting to buy makes the total demand much higher. When demand is high and there are not enough houses for everyone, the prices naturally go up. Another very big reason for the high demand is related to borrowing money. Banks lend money to people to buy houses. This is called a mortgage. The cost of borrowing this money is called the interest rate. In the last 10 years, and especially recently, interest rates in Australia became very, very low. Sometimes they were almost zero. When interest rates are low, it costs less each month to pay back the money you borrowed. This makes it easier for people to borrow larger amounts of money than before. People could get bigger loans from the bank to buy houses. This meant that more people could afford to borrow enough money to try and buy a house. It also meant people could try to buy more expensive houses. This made the number of people trying to buy houses increase a lot. The government also tried to help people buy their first home. They had special programs. These programs gave money or other kinds of help to people who were buying a house for the first time. These programs were designed to make it possible for more people to achieve the dream of owning their own home. For many individuals and families, these programs were very helpful. However, when more people suddenly have the ability to buy, even with help, it adds to the total number of buyers in the market. So, we can see several factors working together. The idea of buying houses as investments brought more buyers. Very low interest rates made it easier for everyone to borrow money and try to buy. And government help for first-time buyers added even more people who wanted to buy. All these things created a very high level of demand for houses across Australia. When the demand for something is much higher than the amount of that thing available, the price goes up very quickly. This high demand is a major reason why house prices are so expensive today, making it hard for many people to buy. 5. Building homes is hard. Building new houses is not easy. There are many reasons why Australia does not build enough homes. One big reason is about houses built by the government. These are called public houses. They are for people who have low incomes or need help. A long time ago, in 1978, the government built 20,000 of these houses, but in 2023 they built only 3,000. The number of people needing these homes is high, but the government builds much fewer now. Building houses also takes a long time because of rules. There are many papers to fill and rules to follow. These rules are important for safety and planning, but they can make everything very slow. This affects companies that build houses. Also, people often want to build new homes in places near the city. These areas have good jobs and schools, but people who already live there sometimes do not want many new houses built. They especially do not want tall buildings with many apartments close by. They say, "We need more houses, but please build them somewhere else, not here." This makes it hard to build in the places where people want to live most. Building materials are another problem. The cost of things needed to build a house, like wood or metal, has gone up a lot. It costs much more money to build a home now than it did before. Also, there are not enough people working in building. Finding skilled workers is difficult. This means building takes longer and costs more. All these things together, fewer government homes, slow rules, people not wanting new buildings nearby, expensive materials, and not enough workers mean that not enough new houses are built. Because not enough new houses are built, there are not enough homes for everyone. This is one big reason why houses are so expensive. 6. New people in Australia. In recent times, many new people have come to live in Australia. The number of people arriving from other countries was very high. It was a record number. For example, the number was very low during the time of the pandemic, maybe only around 25,000 people. But then, it went up very fast. It reached a peak in late 2023. This large increase in population happened quickly over the past 2 years. More people living in Australia means there is more demand for places to live. People need houses to buy or to rent. This extra demand put more pressure on the housing market. Think about it like this. If there are only 100 houses for 100 families, everyone can find a place. But if suddenly 50 more families need a house, and there are still only 100 houses, it becomes much harder for everyone. There is not enough supply for the high demand. This happened at a difficult time for building new houses. Building was already slow and cost a lot more money than before the pandemic. We learned about the problems. It was maybe 40% more expensive to build a home, and it took maybe 18% longer to finish building one. There were problems getting materials and not enough workers to build homes quickly. So, not many new homes were being built fast enough to keep up with the people who needed them. When many new people arrived, the number of houses available was already low. The extra demand from the new people, added to the demand from people already in Australia, made the situation worse. This helped push house prices and rents even higher. It made it even harder for people to find a home they could afford. Some people say that the high number of new arrivals is a main reason for the housing problems. They say that more people need more houses, and if you don't build enough houses, prices go up quickly. Others say there are other reasons too, like the cost of building or rules about building. Because of this, immigration has become an important topic when people talk about housing in Australia. It is now a big part of political discussions. Finding a place to live is hard for many people, and the recent growth in population is seen by some as a factor adding to this difficulty. The debate about how many people should come to Australia is now linked closely to the debate about houses and rent. It is a complex issue with different ideas about what is causing the problem and what the solution should be for the future. 7. Two types of people. The cost of housing in Australia is very high. This includes both buying a house and renting a place to live. This situation is creating a big difference between people. Some people own their homes. Many of these homeowners bought their houses many years ago when prices were lower. Their houses are now worth a lot more money. So these homeowners often have wealth because the value of their property has increased greatly over time. They feel more secure. They have an asset that is growing in value. However, many other people do not own a home, they rent. Rent prices are also very high. For people who rent, a large part of their income goes towards paying rent each week or month. Sometimes this can be more than half of the money they earn. Paying so much for rent makes it extremely difficult or even impossible for them to save money. Saving money is important if you want to buy a house in the future because you need a large amount of money for a down payment. Because rent is so expensive, many renters cannot save enough money to buy a house. They get stuck in a cycle of renting. They pay a lot of money, but they do not build wealth like homeowners do. They continue to rent, and the dream of owning their own home moves further away. This situation is creating a gap in society. On one side are the homeowners who are building wealth from their property. On the other side are the renters who struggle with high costs and cannot save for a house. There is a fear that this could lead to a divided society with two main groups of people: those who own property and have wealth, and those who rent and face financial difficulties. This difference can affect people's lives in many ways and change the feeling of Australian society. 8. Looking for an answer. People across Australia are asking, how can we fix this problem? Many ideas are being discussed to make houses more affordable again. It is a difficult question with no easy answer. The government has a big plan. They want to build a large number of new homes in the next few years. The plan is to build 1,200,000 new houses over the next 5 years. They hope this will create many more places for people to live and help prices go down. But building houses takes time. And there are other ideas too. People are talking about changing the rules for building. Some say it is too slow and difficult to get permission to build new homes, especially bigger buildings with many apartments. Making these rules simpler could help build more houses faster. Another important discussion is about tax rules. Some tax rules make it good for people to buy houses as an investment, not just a place to live. Changing these rules could perhaps mean fewer investors buy houses, leaving more for people who want to live in them. The number of people coming to live in Australia is also part of the talk. Some people think that fewer new people coming to the country would mean less demand for houses, which could help prices. Others say new people are important for the country and the economy. Also, the central bank has increased the cost of borrowing money. This makes mortgages more expensive. The idea is that if it costs more to borrow money, fewer people will want to buy a house, which could reduce demand and slow down price increases. At the heart of the problem is finding a balance. There are many people who want a house, but there are not enough houses for everyone. This is about balancing the number of houses available, supply, and the number of people who want them, demand. Different ideas try to change either the supply or the demand. Some ideas try to build more houses, increase supply. Other ideas try to reduce the number of people wanting houses or buying them as investments, reduce demand. Finding the right balance is very important for the future of Australia. For a long time, owning a home has been a big part of the Australian way of life and identity. Finding solutions to the housing problem is key to keeping this dream alive for more people in the future.